In a carnival city of tourists and tinsel, Pier 5 Miami is the biggest show on the Midway, and it's for free. When the Gulf Stream is running well and fishing is good, people throng its weathered boardwalk and crowd the sagging rails. For where men go down to the sea in ships, there are strange and wonderful sights to see. Like the charter boats, back from the day's fishing with proof of battles waged and won. Cuda, Dolphin, King, good fighters all, and all in the day's work for the charter boatman. But they put stars in the eyes of a boy and stir the heart of a landsman with dreams of high adventure. Colorful aristocrats of the charter boat fleet berth here at Pier 5, and the spectators are never too young nor too old to be interested in the goings-on. With the tab for a day's charter running about $75, this is not inexpensive fishing, but the price of admission may include a trophy fish. When that happens, a grateful angler usually digs a little deeper and rewards the skipper who made his catch possible. With an estimated 15,000 sailfish caught annually, not to mention 100 other fighting species, the odds on a fisherman's getting his money's worth are pretty good. And the ladies do all right, too. But who could put a price tag on a moment of pure glory like this? A pair of royal beauties. Less exclusive, but also less expensive, is fishing on the party boats, which drift the outer reefs. Boats, Pier 5's got 'em. Mammoth rubberneck cruise boats that tour the city's gaily colored channels. Express cruisers that range out to sea as far as Nassau and Havana. Even a vagabonding luxury yacht, the ultimate in handcraft seagoing elegance, finds temporary mooring at the pier. What's in a name, nautically speaking? Well, in the case of the Seven Seas Second, the name tells the story. For skipper Bill Mernan sailed around the world alone, which rightly makes both Bill and boat celebrities. Captain Bill, fourth man in history to turn the trick, views his accomplishment with philosophic calm. But ask him to tell about his boat, and the calm gives way to glowing eloquence. Scarred and travel-worn though she is, the Seven Seas is a thoroughbred, built entirely of stainless steel by Bill himself. Features like hinged mast and bubbled windows are practical, but her real worth is in materials. At going rates, she'd cost $200,000 to replace. Incidentally, the devilish handsome fellow with the camera recording these historic matters for posterity is, of course, yours truly, your narrator. After expounding the merits of his own Seven Seas, Bill could hardly refuse my invitation to see me off on a cruise of my own. Not around the world, however. Not the presidential yacht, but I call it home. Easy with the brownie, Bill, or the expedition ends before it gets started. Remote gear shift and throttle controls on the steering post rate Bill's approving glance. Operating conveniences of an inboard together with outboard econ versatility, a nice combination for cruising. Okay, Bill, cut her loose. 0 hour, official beginning of the cruise of the Real One. Southbound from Miami for the glittering coral chain of isles that man has named but never really tamed, the Florida Keys. And what better omen of a successful voyage than to be cast off and wished well by the man who sailed the seven seas around the world. So long, Bill. Good luck and smooth sailing to you, too. Miami Harbor Police are sensitive on the subject of speeding, which makes leisurely shoreline sightseeing almost a matter of legal necessity. But there's something to be said for a law compelling this kind of beauty appreciation. Though hardly a round-the-world type, this namesake of another Seven Seas is worth a shot. Swift personality could come of this, attempting to run boat and camera both at the same time. That shot wraps up the introduction. Now, to clear the decks for action, and full speed ahead. Highballing for the open water of the bay, Key Biscayne keeps you company. Till you see a famous landmark, Cape Florida Light, Land's End. And after that, you're on your own. Like the Seven Seas, the Real One has a story behind its name, too. In fact, the name explains the purpose of the trip. In motion picture lingo, reel means the same as film. If you show a reel, you show a film. And a film is what we're after, on the subject of the Florida Keys to show my lecture audiences. But Real One has another meaning, too, a sort of play on words. Real One, a real one. Real trip, real adventure, real film. Not just a camera bag of tricks. About 40 miles out of Miami, as the Real One flies, you don't need a chart to know you're out of this world. Long spans of island-hopping bridges that go to sea, tiny mangrove islands, channel marker numbers, all make it certain. It takes the island discovered by Maxwell Anderson, with an assist from Humphrey Bogart, to make it official. With Key Largo slipping by the starboard, you know you're in the Keys. Running a boat and taking pictures at the same time is too much for one man. So, first on the program is to find a stand-in skipper. Longtime Keys resident and a man of daring doings is Captain Bob Eichert, who's been featured in recent articles about the Keys. In photographs or in the flesh at his home on Indian Key with pet monkey Duke draped around his neck, Bob's a remarkable character. Luckily, the crews of the Real One caught his fancy. Bob said he had something to show me, and while he was getting it, Duke gave me the once-over. And didn't seem too favorably impressed with what he saw. Bob has guided many a photographer on roving Keys assignments, and has the pictures to prove it. Like these, taken in the Dry Tortugas, which is proof enough for me that he's the man to introduce us to the Keys for our movie-making project. Viking by ancestry, sea rover by nature, adventurer by trade. That's Bob Eichert. First, he wanted to see the Real One, and even from the top of the hill overlooking the pier, what he saw brought him down the steps on the double. It was love at first sight, which means shooting begins in the morning. At first glance, it resembled some strange new atom weapon. But our underwater camera device was simplicity itself. The old oaken bucket with a glass bottom and a movie camera bolted to the inside. When the Real One's new spit-and-polish skipper put on the finishing touches, it was ready for sea duty. If you believe what you read in travel folders, the Keys are strangely beautiful. Strange they are, even picturesque. But the beauty is in the sea around them, and Bob knew where to find it. On a sun-drenched blue sky morning, looking down through water clear as crystal, eyes can play strange tricks. You'd swear you could reach out and touch the bottom 15 feet away. Bob maneuvered to a picture-taking standstill over a likely spot, so I could put our bucket to the test. Strange but true, our maneuvering, backing, turning, going ahead fails to disturb the fish below, who keep right on drifting lazily through the forests of staghorn coral, which shelter them from marauding sharks and barracuda. Back her up, Bob. Either the sun's got me and I'm seeing things, or there's an item down there right out of the prehistoric past. Hold her steady. We're right above him. What a nightmare. Big and black with tapered wings. Looks almost like a bat. I give up. What is it? whip-like tail. Why, of course, a stingray. How could I miss that trademark? A very photogenic subject. Too bad we scared him off. Did I say we scared him off? Friend Ray was just deploying for maneuvers. Ray on the run, and really rustling his bustle. He's plenty sore because we broke up his siesta. These shallows around the Keys, called the Flats, are the happy hunting ground of predatory species. Here, too, sensation hunting travelers can thrill to sights of nature in the raw, like this lone shark on the prod, convulsing into frantic action when he sees the man-thing on his trail. Yes, even the hated shark can know fear, where kill or be killed is the first law of life. But shark baiting is tame stuff for an old salt, so Bob lets his playmate go free and sets the real one's course for open water. In the Keys, everybody fishes, from piers, beaches, bridges, jetties. From skiffs, dinghies, dories, runabouts, and cruisers they fish. For food, for fun, for dollars. Broadly speaking, there are two main types of Keys fishing, offshore and onshore. Mostly offshore fishing is done from charter boats, like the ones at Pier 5. But Bob figured the real one could also qualify as a sort of a scale model sports fisher. A solid, smashing strike proved his theory, with a suddenness that caught us both off guard. Unless you tangle with a very big fish, fighting tactics are not difficult to master, even for a rookie. Your skipper keeps the boat moving ahead, which gives the fight a sense of direction and helps tire the fish. Spare the rod or spoil the tackle is one of Bob's quotable rules for beginners. With most deep-sea fishing, what's on the other end of the line is anybody's guess. So you bring him alongside, and even then the fish is usually quicker than the eye. Whatever he is, this one fights all the way home. Not a spectacular jumper, this one, but dead game and bulldog tough, with a fighting heart that just won't let him quit. When Bob gets the leader in his hands, the catch is official. He's a king mackerel, or just plain king for short, and he lived up to his reputation as a bold and rugged scrapper. About a 30-pounder is Bob's guess. Not a record fish, but enough above the 6-pound average to encourage a beginner and a deep-sea fishing convert. Bob snagged into the next one. His wasn't much of a jumper either, so he fought him standing up, which is good sport when the size of the fish permits. Barracuda astern, the feared and hated lone wolf of the sea. Bob hauls him in by the scruff of his neck. Plug for him on the flats and you'll find the Cuda a running, jumping fool. Great sport. But in deep water, he's a pushover. Once aboard, though, he's treated with respect. Razor teeth make him a dangerous customer in or out of water. All right, watch the birdie. Turn on the Pepsodent. Okay, chum, hit the road. Out where freighters go their lonely way flows the indigo blue of the Gulf Stream. Ernest Hemingway, who fishes it aboard the Pilar out of Havana, names it well, the Great Blue River. Warm-blooded, river of life, river of fighting fish. Where the birds are, the fish are. And we're fast to a fish of a different color. The high-flying, beautiful blue dolphin. Things may be rough all over, but they're a lot rougher out here. With a little more free time on his hands, a man could do an inspired job of getting seasick. With deep-sea fishing, it is more blessed to receive line than to give it. When the fish is a big one, he'll have some line-stripping ideas of his own. Jumps are a dolphin's badge of courage. This one has the heart of a champion as he scores with 3 in a row. Lo, the happy warrior, counting his fish before it's boated. Watch it, Bub. We haven't begun to fight. Bob has seen fish go crazy before, and he maneuvers desperately as the dolphin leaps to the attack. And up he comes in a burst of jumping fury, twisting, turning, tearing at the line in blind rage to get away. When a bull dolphin runs amok, he just naturally comes at you from all directions at once. And when you think you've got him licked, stand by for further developments. You haven't. He's coming our way, but Bob takes a tense time out to put on the fishing gloves. The anno-wire leader can cut to the bone. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is too weak to make another break for it. Like the parting gesture of a brilliant showman, the dolphin flourishes his colors as he's brought reluctantly to boat. Easy does it now, Robert. That's my pride and joy you're messing around with. Gently, Skipper, gently, pray. He represents the full... Oh, watch it! He's got a mouthful of steel, and he's mad as a hatter. Man the lifeboats, lower the boom, and all ashore that's going ashore. Down, boy, down. There should be an award for gallantry in action for a poor, bloody fool like this. He came out fighting and went down fighting, and burst his heart with pride. End of a struggle that made minutes seem like hours. With fishing, first time is always the charm. There may be bigger fish to come, but none will ever be more thrilling. A day to remember, Bob. Now, let's head for home. Behold the happy angler, baked, blistered, and battle-happy, bruised, bothered, and bewildered. Would he do it again? Why, sure, this is living. He's found the keys to adventure, and tomorrow's another day. After leaving Bob Eichert's place next morning, the first port of call for the real one was Whale Harbor near Isla Morada. They say a fellow by the name of Arthur Godfrey frequents these parts. He comes for the bone fishing. We're here to look up a cameronogenic attraction called Theater of the Sea. And here's a good sign that we're on the right track. Theater of the Sea's star performers, Jeannie and Buttons, the famous jumping porpoises.
Theater of the Sea, in the heart of the Florida Keys, displays various and assorted wonders of marine life. But the crowd-stopping antics of its trained porpoises always steal the show. Buttons, the male, is a practical joker who delights in wetting down the crowds. But he's a sucker for a tempting tidbit. Fast? They're the fastest things afloat. The Navy's clocked them doing 70 along the Florida coast. Tough, but oh so gentle. He's a shark killer, and yet a friend of man. A warm-blooded mammal like the whale, the porpoise must come up for air or drown. And rumor has it, porpoises have more fun than people. These big overgrown kids are pampered darlings of the girls who put them through their paces. Around the big red platform at the far end of their pool, they play kissing games. And until you've played post office with a porpoise, well, you simply haven't lived. This colorful miss is, of all things, a porpoise feeder, and she must be good, because even the porpoises look up to her. And despite her singular occupation, she still has a full quota of fingers adorning either hand. Buttons gauges his distance, backs off for a run, and makes a beautiful jump. This late arrival is Julian Gromer, who's making a lecture film about the Keys. And he could do worse than train his camera on the aerial acrobatics of talented Jeannie and Buttons. Among the crowds that throng the theater, camera hobbyists are legion. Keen-eyed and alert, they come resolved to take a deathless picture. Like this lad who's asking Gromer for advice. Better get set, fellas. Our girl's about to stage another jump. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to... Oh, no. Missed the shot. Tough luck. Go ahead and laugh, stinker. The real highlight of the show comes when Buttons and Jeannie... Hey, what's with Junior now? Oh, no, he's after the perfect angle. Gromer's got it and he wants it. This'll teach Gromer to make his films in Bally after this. The real highlight of the show comes now as Buttons is decoyed away from the platform, giving Jeannie a chance to do her stuff. Okay, they're in position. Everything is... Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas. We're waiting. Okay, out goes the fish for Buttons. He's after it, and up pops Junior. Wouldn't you know it? But with or without pictures, that concludes the morning program. And as we leave this land of enchantment, the sun sinks slowly below the horizon, and we set our course for beautiful Bally. Wait a minute. Show's over, but let's stick around and see what cooks with the movie maker. This could be interesting. Either Cecil B. is about to do a little freeloading, or he's going to try to get his shots without the help of Junior. Wow, a 16-footer. What a ham that Buttons is. And he didn't bite the... Again, friend? Do you think that's wise? Sometimes you can push your luck too far, you know. Look out. You want to be a porpoise? Go ahead, be a porpoise. How do you like that? Everybody's trying to get in the act. Isn't that sweet? Look how they play together. Buttons figures it's one thing to be a friend to man. It's another to have one of them move in on you. Doesn't even smell like a porpoise. It's a good act, chum, but I'm afraid we can't use you. They don't want laughs anymore. They just want escape. This way out. He does swim pretty good. Wonder if he can jump. How is the water? Say, what you need is a towel. Here, try one of Jeannie's for size. I hope you left your camera running, movie maker. People will pay good money to see that kind of stuff. You know, I think Jeannie kind of goes for you. Hey, what do you think she is, a bird dog? She'd rather play post office. You men are all so domineering. What's a girl to do? Oh, well, if you insist. Okay, Buster. Catch! Honestly, you humans, you're good for 1,000,000 laughs.
Porpoise hunters, picturesque sons of the Keys and masters of a strange profession. Commissioned by Theater of the Sea to bring one back alive. With luck, one of these. Fisherman Fabian Santini, in charge of Operation Porpoise, must take a perfect specimen without use of net or knife or gun. Porpoises on the defensive, winded now from their efforts, but still strong and biding their time, as Santini moves us slowly in. Flush them, and they're off in another desperate bid for freedom. They're breaking for open water. But Santini sees the danger and races to cut them off and turn them. A saltwater stampede with 4 magnificent brutes running for their lives. And Santini riding herd on them, fiercely, relentlessly cutting them down to size. And he's got them. Outmaneuvered and outdistanced, they slowed. And now they're turning back. Battle strategy takes some figuring, even at this stage of the game. Your move, Skipper. How do we go from here? We crowd them toward the shallows. They glide smoothly out from under, hoping for an easy way out. Disorganized, but not in panic. And Santini shuts the door on them, gently but firmly. Heading for the last roundup. Portrait of a brave man in action, and one who wouldn't take no for an answer even from a quarter ton of bone and muscle. Fabian Santini, barehanded, armed only with the brain and heart and courage God gave him, captures a creature more than twice his own size. But this is no time to lay down on the job, man. You still have to deliver that bundle. Talk about strange cargoes. And where but in the Florida Keys could this amazing scene take place? All aboard and neatly stowed. One strictly fresh, living, breathing porpoise, consigned to Theater of the Sea. Homeward bound the hunters, off on a river of crystal light and into a sea of dew. But for me, it's back to the real one and on with the cruise. She's anchored right where we left her on the way out this morning, and looks pretty good after a tough day at the office. All good thanks to Skipper Fabian Santini and partner Richard McHarg, porpoise hunters extraordinary and true sons of the Keys, for letting us share a rare and exciting experience along their Keys to adventure. Next morning, rambling down the waterway again in the general direction of Key West, pulse and respiration almost back to normal, I picked up a 2-man escort, and they flagged me down for a parley. Mr. and Mrs. James Albright, Jimmy and Frankie to fellow fishermen, a famous Keys guiding twosome whose big fish on light tackle exploits are legion and legendary among anglers. Tarpon, according to Jim, are terrific, especially on this kind of light sporting tackle. No movie on the Keys could be complete without them. A giant tarpon throwing his weight around at the other end of this buggy whip? This I have to see. The invitation is accepted. All this peace and quiet is killing me. Nothing ever happens. Nothing to do but loaf in the sun. Make way for the ancient mariner. These restful days in the Keys are turning up some shrieking little muscles I didn't know I had. Well, here we go again. The Albright's featherweight shallow draft skiff is a must for fishing the flats and shallow banks. Jim Albright is one husband who's found the perfect answer to the backseat driver problem. He turned over the controls, and Frankie took him up on it. Fishing the drop-off of eternity, suspended in key blue haze, where you know how it feels to be a mirage. This is both fishing and hunting, demanding the stealth and patience of a hunter on the stalk. Frankie's line tests 15 pounds, and she practice casts to be sure it's clear for action. There he is, tarpon, coming toward us. He's on it, Frankie. Keep him coming. Now, hit him.